Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Mani. So, AI is changing our world. That is yesterday's news. We know the business and the personal uses. AI is increasing in business as well as personal uses. For how the GenAI is being used is in the two ways. So, we have either the enterprise are building more and more AI, GenAI application. There's a homegrown applications they are using, and employees are using GenAI application a lot. So we have solution for both the problems. The first problem is how to secure the GenAI application itself. The second solution is how we can enable an enterprise to safely adapt a GenAI application, like identify the GenAI application, allow proper access to it, and then scan the content on the GenAI application, prevent the data exploitation as well as the increased threat surface. So today we are going to talk about the solution, which is when employees are using the GenAI application and how we are enabling the enterprise to use safely adapt the GenAI application. So let's take a look what overall problem we are addressing. A lot of employees are using GenAI application with or without a proper approval because of the productivity. So according to one of the research, 55% of the employees are using unapproved GenAI tools. As a result, the shadow AI application problem is creating because neither people can identify those applications and nor they can block it. So that is creating a blind spot. The second problem we are seeing is that there is a sensitive data loss because, for example, somebody decided quickly to check a code or format a report and knowingly or unknowingly sharing the information. Plus, that is a prompt, and then the response came. The response may or may not have any malicious content, phishing link. That is two other problems. The threat surface has been increased. The third problem is the integration of the SaaS ecosystem. So there are a native GenAI application as well as the existing SaaS application has an AI component. Those AI component is as a third party AI application or the AI plugin. The AI plugin can also get a increased exposure as well as it can be a non-compliant. So visibility and control on these third-party integration is also essential. These are the main four problems we are going to address. So what are enterprises want to use the GenAI application? They are looking for it. But what are the challenges? So the first challenge we see is everybody is creating an AI application. So look about a year ago or 2 years ago, we could count the GenAI application on our fingers, but now there are almost more than 3,500,000 applications, and these numbers are going to increase continuously. Not only the native GenAI applications are there, but there are applications which is AI component into it. So what are the solutions we are looking for to address this is that what are the solution we are looking for it is that we could have a comprehensive GenAI catalog where we can understand what these application is. We also need to categorize them based on the functionality, as we can say, okay, these application for productivity, some application for code assistant or the writing assistant. Now, another challenge security admin or NetSec admin can feel is that they are not much aware of how the GenAI risk level or the attribute or the behavior of an GenAI application, like if this application is storing the data, learning it. So having that attribute gives them or a research on the application gives them an idea if they would like that application to their enterprise or not. Even they allow it, they want to scan the prompt as well as response, the data which is going out as well as the response that is coming. As we have already mentioned that there is a third-party integration. For example, I take Zoom has a Oli or other meeting assistant plugins, as well as take another example of Grammarly. Nobody is going and using Grammarly directly. They are integrating it either as a desktop or a Chrome extension. What about those AI, component? Also in the Slack, there are many meeting assistant and other components. So identifying those and taking control on these third-party AI plugins are equally important. So let's take a look why AI security is unique and no one in this industry has as comprehensive and solution as we have. The reason we have is a centralized visibility. So always the security admins are going through with the problem that their information is fragmented. So we have addressed this issue by bringing a centralized dashboard, which is full of visualization, control, and report that is coming through a cloud manager, Star Cloud Manager. We have a comprehensive application dictionary, which is 3,000 plus application. And these applications, we are adding more, continuously adding more and more applications, GenAI application. So it is giving a good visibility and identification. Other important component here is we have access control on a GenAI application. We can detect any data exploitation when it is passing through a network. We can also detect out of the band data exploitation when data is in rest for a GenAI application. Right now, we support one application, ChatGPT. We can identify GenAI plugins. We can detect them and provide control on a selective marketplace. We have a world-class DLP solution, LLM-powered data classification out of the box, which can identify a lot of application and we can customize it. We have a security posture for the marketplace plugin control. With top of it, we give you a more solution as then you can have a dashboard, executive report, and the co-pilot based recommendation based on the real traffic and configuration. The supporting system is hardware firewall and Prisma Access. We are bringing the support for the PEB, which is already GA. So let's take a look at the AI access security flow. What happens is user make a request for a GenAI application. The traffic pass through for one of the access point. It can be firewall or a Prisma access. When the traffic is passed through, we identify app ID and the DLP AV solutions. Then the packet is passed through from our cloud delivery security services. That is all the CDSS services and DLP. I want to mention that when you buy an AI access, enterprise DLP is free, but for the threat protection, you have to buy an extra solution, extra license. DLP inspect the prompt traffic. For all the CDS services, decryption is required. Based on the verdict, the action is delivered back to the control point, Prisma Access or firewall. The log is also passed through the Satara logging services, and from that we give the good visibility. And with the action, we also get an end user notification. So after explaining the why we are, what was the need and how we can enable an enterprise to safely adapt the GenAI application in their organization, let's understand what is the organization need. As a security admin, what they are looking for. couple of the questions. So this slide is also a reference slide can be used. The first thing comes into the security admin or NetSec admin is how many GenAI applications are in my organization. They want to know if there's a shadow AI application. Are they approved? What are the status? Can they automatically identify the new application in the network? Can they take a policy which can automatically block it? Then they want to know how many users are using those applications, plus which is the popular functionality. So is the organization is more towards the writing assistant versus more towards the code? And the visibility. If one single user is using too many applications, how many applications a single user is using, how much data is being transferred, how many sensitive data exposed through GenAI prompt or a malicious content, is any sensitive information stored into a GenAI app, which app is safe to allow, is GenAI application is compliant, can we control the access to GenAI application, and if there is a best practice recommendation I can use, can I create a report to share with my executives? So all this concern is answered by AI access solution. As you can see here, there is a comprehensive dashboard which brings all the value. It gives you the total number of GenAI application, allow and block user. It is aggregated for a different functionality. You can see here there is a sensitive data at rest as well as data in motion. We can also see how many threats are detected. Manjana Singh, WhatsApp audio. We can see, sorry about it. We can see how many application has been, how many plugins are being used. And then we can also see the recommendation and GenAI report. We will see all of this in a demo soon. So let's see the benefit of the customer. Discovery of GenAI application uses and control. At this time, I would like to shift on a live dashboard. We are going to go and cover all these 4 pillars we have mentioned. This is the command center, and you can see there is a good 100 miles deep view. You can see the time filter is by default is 3 hours. We can see all the application. We can filter the application based on the GenAI app only. And when we filter, we can see in the last 3 hours, there are 63 GenAI application. In 63 GenAI application, we can see how many application has changed in last 3 hours. There is not much change. We can look at the, we can go to AI Access dashboard from Command Center. In this dashboard, you can see 55 applications are seen in last 3 hours. When we change the number, this number of applications will change. There are 1.28 thousand users. Out of that, 630 is allowed and 672 are blocked. These users are unique users. The question is, now we have divided GenAI application based on their functionality. We call them use cases. So as you can see, if admin want to know how this organization is, employees of this organization using those GenAI application, most of them are using for the image generation. And in this category, there are 12 application and about 512 users. The way we decide which category is more popular is the number of users. Before I go further down into this dashboard, I want to cover a little bit of, background so we can understand the GenAI application much better. Either we can take, so some of the component here is when we introduce the GenAI application, we have introduced two snippets. So if you go to NGF firewall and we can select Prisma Access, you can see there are two snippets, application tagging and GenAI best practice. GenAI best practice gives you out-of-the-box policies for the application. So let's take a look. I do want to introduce the security policy before, so we can, when we are going through with the dashboard, we can understand how we are providing the access control. The first policy is sensitive GenAI application, GenAI access. As you can see, there is a application filter section, sanction GenAI app. In a minute, we are going to see what this tag means and what are these sanction GenAI application are. The second thing I wanted to cover is a DLP profile. This is the DLP profile I have created and attached it. You can create any profile based on your need. There is an advanced security inspection. We can enable all of this. To enable, to have this threat protection, we need a threat protection license. The another policy here is the tolerated tag, tolerated GenAI tag. And when we look at this, there are, you can see, we can use a source. Either you can use some selective user or you can select a user group. The application filter is different as well as the DLP profile. The last policy in this is default GenAI access, which is as an action which is blocked, and the filter we are using here is a GenAI filter. So with this snippet, we also get some default filter, and let's go and take a look. The first filter is sanction GenAI apps. The second filter is tolerated, and the third one is GenAI app. So let's take a look at the application. As you can see, we have more than 3,000 GenAI applications. This number will keep changing and increasing as we are releasing more and more applications here. With the AI access security, we have enhanced our application app ID. For example, if you select any application, you can see the number of application came with the, you can query the number of application based on the product name. And you can also see there are functional apps. For example, it also includes the OpenAI and then OpenAI ChatGPT and OpenAI download and upload. So you can allow, for example, in this organization, and one of the use cases which we come across very forward is there is, they want to allow the ChatGPT, but they don't want to allow any download or upload. So in this case, we can create a policy based on either just allowing the access to ChatGPT, but they cannot download any content, cannot upload any content. Now I have mentioned about the tags. So let's take a look at the tags. So you can see in the GenAI application, there are controlling tags available. One of the tag is sanction tag. We use this sanction tag when we want to allow that application to the whole organization. Suppose there is a Gen application which you think is safe, and you can allow the access for that application to every employee in your organization or this organization. That's when we will select the sanction tag. The another tag is a tolerated tag. When you want to allow the access to a limited user, and that's where we are going to use this tag, which is the tolerated tag. And the third tag is unsanctioned, which is cannot be allowed, and that is basically default tag. So any new application which comes is unsanctioned. In this case, when I'm selecting the sanctioned GenAI application, you can see I have selected the GenAI application as well as the sanction tag. Now let's take a look at the AI Access dashboard one more time. In the AI Access dashboard, you can see, as we have seen, the reason I went to the application dictionary, that you can see there are more than 3,000 applications GenAI applications are available. But right now here you are seeing only the 55 applications. That means these are the number of applications is seen in this organization for last 3 hours. If I change the number, time filter, the number will change. So the first thing we want to see how many GenAI applications are currently present or has been seen. This is a good way to identify if there is a new application has been introduced into the system. As you can see, there are a number, all the 55 application has been listed. There is a good information such as what is the category, application score, risk score, which we're going to visit soon. What are the port and what is the tag here is unsanctioned. As I mentioned, the unsanctioned is our default tag. And then there is a thread and how many users are using it. As you can see here, there is Adobe Firefly, which is sanction tag, and there is a number of threads, but there is a number of users, like 189 users is using it. There is a two-way you can go back to the dashboard. You can use the browser and just switch back, or you can go to Activity Insight and go to AI Access dashboard. Since there are 3,000 applications, it is a good idea to put them in a bucket based on the functionality. Here at Palo Alto, we have decided after a lot of research, there is a 10 category we can put our applications in. Based on the number of users, this application group is aggregated around the central hexagon. As you can see, the first number is the image editor, and then conversation is in. The rest of them are aggregated under the central hexagon, development platform, and so on. If you go to a use case, you can see the most popular application in this is Adobe Firefly. It also gives you the information, how many users are using it, and how much data is being transferred, or if this is an enterprise available, if the data used in ML, application classification. If you come to the status bar, it shows how many applications are sanctioned, tolerated, or unsanctioned application. Let's review this use case. When you go to use case, first thing it will just show you what is the associated risk for this particular use case. These associated risks will change based on the application category or uh, application use use case. So as you can see, this is a possibility of copyright deepfake misuse and all the other issues. Now, the second thing you will see is how many applications are sanctioned, how many users are for that, how many data is being transferred, what is the sensitive data that is being transferred because of that. Is this application is available, enterprise available or not? Now, we can come and see the action. We can create a policy or we can update a policy. We have already seen the policy which has been created. You can create a new policy based on this particular application. As I mentioned, when any application come by default, the tag is unsanctioned. So let's take a look of some of the application which is unsanctioned. For example, these are the application unsanctioned, and in this, suppose somebody says that NP cloud-based application, okay, we want to, or replica-based, there is 180 user and we want this application to be used for our, for our organization. There is a couple of ways a user can change the tag. They can come and the use case, drop it down and say sanction or tolerated. At this point, we have decided to make it just the tolerated. The reason behind it is we want to watch it and put a more restrictive DLP control. So let's select the tolerated and I can say confirm change. When I say confirm change, it will provide me a couple of the options. The first thing first thing you will notice here is the message. The application is changed, and then application tag are read and write controlled by application tagging snippet. So this is the another snippet I wanted to mention about. When we change a tag for a GenAI application, it is being stored in an application tagging snippet where all the dashboard such as SCM or AI access read and write those tags. So it is essential to attach that, and we will see it in an overview again in a minute. Then there are a couple of options. Either you can create a new web security rule, or you can review the application detail in activity inside, which we are going to do, or you can update, or do nothing. So right now, what I want to do is I just want to exit. One important information, when we change a tag into tolerated, as we did, we have to push the configuration policy to take it. Now, the second example is, suppose I want to research about an application, say this one and OpenAI, and I see the risk level is 4. I want to understand more about it. So easier thing to do is you hover over it, it will give you the detail on the application, but if you click, it will take you to the application specific page. By default, the threat severity is selected for up to low, and it's okay. So I'm going to select everything and leave it alone. We can see the attributes of this application. And as you can see, it gives you the detail about the application. It tells you the, you know, what is the dependent on, what is the technology, what is the risk level, functionality, also the reference, a description. The another important one is the GenAI attribute, which is right now 11. As you can see, the input data, output data, couple of the attributes are more important. For example, a data used in model training. This is not available right now, but I will go to another application and see if that is available for the new application. Security guardrail is yes. So if you see the identity access management, you can see a couple of the password policy is unknown, RBAC is not available, SAML is not available. When we go to compliance, we can see a lot of it's failing on a lot of compliance, and probably those are the reason the risk level was 4. At this time, I want to switch back to the presentation and cover the next portion. So we talk about the discovery GenAI application uses. So I do want to uh, talk about the users as well in a second. So when the total number of users are unique, so a single user can be either allowed for one application or blocked for other applications, but it will be only counting once. So by clicking on the user, you can see the details about more the user. So let's go back here in the demo and see the action in live. Let's look at the Rebecca. It says the username is Rebecca and the application are 17 application uh, has been used by the single user. One more important piece of information in AI access, if the user ID is not available, you will not be able to see this user. So this particular user doesn't have much threat. That's perfectly fine. Sorry, it should not be happening. Let me refresh this, reload this page. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer to load. Let me try another user. We will visit this one more time into a different tenant. So you can get a more detail about the user, and I will try again into a different user, or if we cannot, I have a recorded video at the end of this presentation. We have already talked about the risk, how the risk is between 1 to 5 based on the application characteristic. There are 70 plus users that includes the domain. And GenAI attribute information. The question comes from the field again, how do we identify this? So these are based on the published information. We did our research, but mostly we rely when an application is being published, how the data is being used. So this is the use case admin wants to know is that, hey, they don't want to block all the GenAI application or allow all the GenAI application based on the URL category. What they want is they want to allow some application, they want to limit some GenAI application for the user group or block any unknown application. So as we saw into the demo, that there are two controlling tags, which is sanctioned and tolerated, which can be used in the policy as we have seen already. And we can have those use those tags based on the policy and allow the access. We can use the last policy in the sequence will be the blanket policy, which will block all the other application. For example, if a new GenAI application comes where a decision is not being made, will always be an unsanctioned app, and by default, it will always be blocked. Here is a view which we already see. The application can be accessed by all the user, and this can be accessed by the limited user. So let's have a summary of all these steps, what we have covered so far, because we have covered a lot of information. AI access tags are introduced, sanction, tolerated, and GenAI application. The default state is all the applications are unsanctioned. This simply means the decision has not been made. We have to attach two snippets, GenAI best practice and application tag. There's a three-way you can change the GenAI application tag based on your research, based on your policies. You can change it from the use cases. You can also change it from the activity inside, and you can also change on the objects. By default, all the policies are disabled. You can enable it. Let's talk about the prevention of sensitive data exposure and threat. We have already covered this part. With AI access, enterprise DLP is free. You need a decryption policy. When you're using Prisma Access, there's a default decryption policy, but if you're using Firewall, you have to create a decryption policy. Without decryption policy, you can identify GenAI application, but to provide a DLP or a threat prevention, decryption policy is essential. And the last part we want to talk about in the configuration is end user coaching. So end user coaching is available for the enterprise DLP. The configuration is into the global setting. There is some basic requirement. There is a SCM version should be 24 R2. The global protect, this is how we control the, provide the toast notification is 6.3. Once and then you have to apply this into a DLP rule. Once you apply the DLP rule, there will be a toast notification which will say the content post on GenAI application is blocked due to the sensitive information. And there is another, we are actually running almost out of the time. I want to save last 10 minutes for the question and answer. So looking forward, there is a sensitive information stored into GenAI application. Right now, we support one application that is a ChatGPT. You have to onboard this application and you can create a policies. How do we discover the GenAI plugins? So remember, the GenAI plugins in any SaaS application is cloud-to-cloud communication. That means we cannot really, there's no traffic passing through the access point like firewall. So the best way, so we scan those applications, we onboard the application and we scan it. The plugins leave a security blind spot. You might be giving the access to an application which is you don't want to allow. We support 7 marketplaces. We can discover the third-party plugin. We can identify the permission. We can block them. We can do the policy control. So let's go and take a look here. So as you can see, there are the plugins. There are 5 installed plugins. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go and look at those plugins. As you can see, there are 79 plugins, but we have filtered on the GenAI application. This is for the Azure. We support 7 marketplace. If you bring it here, you can either review or revoke the access. The revoke access only supported for 2 marketplaces, Azure and Google. If you drop it down, you can see you can filter based on the um, any marketplace, basically out of these 7 marketplaces. If you have not review, you can see the list of the review list of the plugin which has not been reviewed. You can see the user who are using this application. So let's take a look on the plugin. I think let me switch my tenant here. As you can see, if you look at the plugin, you can see who is using it. Sarah Lee is using it. You can file a ticket. It could be a Jira or ServiceNow ticket. We can see this plugin's risk score, and we can see the detail, what is the marketplace, what is the severity. We can as well go and create a policy also. Let's go back to AI Access dashboard again. Sorry, I should. The another thing I wanted to share is you can see here data in motion. If I change the time, you can see data at rest also. You can download the GenAI report if you are using past 24 hours. We provide the GenAI report which you can be download. Also, let's take a look at data at motion, DLP incident for DLP incident for access point. As you can see, there are couple of incidents. I was using an application before SourceGraph coding. So we can go and see, narrow it down for the SourceGraph coding as well. This is for NGFW. I can change this application if I want and make it any out of the any application. I can select one. You can see the incident of the American Express card. If it is low, you will not see the snippets. If it is high, you will see the snippet. This is our dashboard, DLP incident dashboard, and it is also bring a lot of aggregated value. We can remove data in motion, and we can remove the application itself. If needed, that will give you a holistic view of all the incident happen in every single channel. Let's go back to AI Access one more time. And we are going to look at the recommendation. So the recommendation, we have introduced about 17 recommendations. This is based on the real traffic as well as based on the configuration. So let's look at the first recommendation. You can type a question also, or you can look at the recommendation. It says that activity inside and rule, you can change this. There is no DLP incident for at least one of the application and network over past 7 days without any DLP inspection. And then it gives you the steps how you can go and look do the configuration. You can always come back to page you have started. So let's try one more recommendation here. I say view recommendation. I can be reviewing those application, and I can reviewing those plugins, and it will take me to the plugin. It will show everything, every data I'm looking for. To go back, I just have to go back to where I can start the conversation, or I can just go back where I have started. The last piece I want to cover is you can also have data at rest. So for data at rest, we support one application that is a ChatGPT. And if you go to SaaS security, we have to onboard those applications which we wanted to see. As you can see, we have onboarded all the application to scan the data for the posture like plugin and all. And here is the one ChatGPT Enterprise which has been onboarded. That's how we were able to view the application. So recommendation key use cases is NetSec admin doesn't know how to secure the GenAI application, which application is safe. It can discover all the application. It can enable the decryption. And this is how the GenAI review goes. Then there is an executive report. You can download the report. The minimum time for report for 24 hours. And this is some of the view for the report. As you can see the executive summary, you can see data protection, and you can see other use cases views.